It was Christmas season, and I was managing the Groton's Men's Store in Mountain View, California. The season was just getting started, and I thought I'd hired my last Christmas extra when George came into the store looking for work. Hello, my name's George Wolford. We've just moved here from Butler, Pennsylvania, and I need to find a job. Are you still hiring for Christmas? He asked. As far as first impressions go, George scored low. He stood about 5'10" and weighed at least 350 pounds. I never did find out what he actually weighed. His suit was as big as a tent and hung just like one. However, there was something about him that stimulated my curiosity, so we went into my office to talk. I thought I was just being nice. There was no way I could hire him to work in the store. We were one of the finest men's stores in the area. We believed our people had to represent what we stood for, and George didn't. But the longer I talked to him, the more I wanted to bring him on board. He promised me that he'd be my top salesman, and I liked that confident attitude. But I have to admit that part of the reason I was drawn to him was because he was born on the exact same day as my mother, April 19th, 1919. Finally I said, I could use another person for the holiday season, but the job ends when the Christmas rush is over, right after New Year's. If that works for you, you can start tomorrow. What time? He responded, and I have myself a new salesman. George had been there about a week when my boss, George Capanis, showed up and walked through the store right into my office, shut the door, and said, Who's that fat guy I see waiting on customers? George. You didn't tell me you were coming, but then you never do. Well, George, that's George. I hired him last week, I said with a broad smile, and you'll fire him tomorrow, he responded. I can't do that, I retaliated. And why not, he asked. Because he's my best salesman, I said with finality. I thought you said he's only been here a week. He has. That's what makes it even more surprising. Nothing was said for a moment or two, and then George concluded, When Christmas is over, he's out of here. That's what I told him, and that ended our discussion about George. However, George continued to be the best salesman throughout the Christmas season. So when it came time to decide who would stay and who would go, I couldn't let George go. Besides, I really liked the guy. Sometime in January, Boss George came by and saw that Salesman George was still there. I thought we agreed when Christmas was over, George was gone. He confronted me in a challenging tone. I couldn't do it. I like him too much. And you saw his sales. Nobody else was close, I exclaimed. Brad, you're not doing him a favor. He doesn't have a future with us. He needs to find a job where he's got a chance to be promoted. We both know it's not going to happen here. Come on, George, that's pretty weak. We've got all kinds of career salespeople in this company. Okay, he stays. But remember, he's a career salesman, and that's it. About 5 months later, George started to lose weight. In fact, he began to look pretty good. At about the same time, my third man got promoted, and I needed to replace him. George seemed like a likely candidate, so I called my boss. I want to promote George to third man. You can't, he replied. Why not, I asked. Because he's a career salesman. That's why not. Did you see how much better he was looking the last time you were down? I persisted. Well, now that you mention it, I did see some improvement. Okay, make him your third man. That's as far as he goes. Right after the next Christmas season, my assistant manager was promoted. I gave Boss George a call. Don't say anything, Frager. I know you want George to be your new assistant manager. Do it. Then came the day I got promoted. Yes, George became the new manager of the Mountain View Grotons. Capanis thought he was the best man for the job. Thank you.